New at 10, look out for an alleged criminal cabbie.
He's got a long arrest record and a current misdemeanor assault charge after reportedly threatening police officers with decapitation. Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes caught up with him. Chris?
He's a Renegade cabbie using a vehicle marked with logos from his former company. We started looking into him after finding a court record about a 911 call to police from people who said he was making murderous threats. When police arrived, the cabbie reportedly threatened to cut off the officers' heads. His vehicle looks legit, with his cab ID hanging from his rearview mirror, a cab meter on the dash next to the Holy Book of Quran, taxi cab plates still valid through the end of July. But those Wilson Taxi logos, they're not authorized. Tim Wilson would know. He owns Wilson Taxi.
I asked him to take it off, and I also asked the taxi cab commission to remove it.
Here he is, Mahad Abdinur Abdi, a man of Somali descent with a long list of arrests, including robbery second and unlawful use of a weapon. Only one got a conviction when he got probation for trespassing at the Islamic Center in 2002. Wilson says Abdi's been gone for months, even before Abdi reportedly made the decapitation threats against police in June. Wilson thinks his former driver has no business keeping the Wilson Taxi logos. Based on our tip and our instructions as we followed Abdi for 45 minutes, investigators caught up with them near the old Northwest Plaza.
Why are you putting me on that?
Why are you driving this when your license has been revoked?
No, which line? My license is good.
Your taxi license. He decided he did not want to talk. He tried asking this MTC investigator who was removing his taxi cab plate to stop us.
We're two different agencies.
Investigators took his plates and stuck this notice on his back window: vehicle not for hire. A lot of people might think that with your...
nothing to do with you, buddy.
Yeah, but a lot of people might think with your long list of arrests that you should have been driving a cab in the first place.
No, come on, man. I'm good, man.
I mean, did you really threaten to chop off people's heads? Abdi then got back in his Dodge van with unauthorized Wilson Taxi logos remaining, but no plates, and he drove off. Taxi cab commissioners revoked his license. He continued to defy the law, this time under a new name, Royal Taxi, and an Illinois plate we found registered to this Belleville UPS store. The Illinois Secretary of State said that's illegal, and it worked with the Missouri Highway Patrol to pull his plate. The next day we found this Illinois plate on Abdi's cab, a different one, as you can see in the side-by-side comparison. The Secretary of State said that one is long expired, and again worked with Missouri Highway Patrol to take away that one. This woman, who does not want her name used, found out the hard way when she says Abdi gave her 23-year-old son a frightening ride. Uber prices were high at the time, and he saw Abdi's cab waiting here in Soulard at the corner of Menard and Allen. But he says he got scared when he told Abdi to go one way and the cab went another. Here's a map so you can see the drastic difference in routes. That blue line indicates where the passenger asked the cabbie to take him, to South County. The red line will show you what happened instead. The passenger says Abdi passed the 55 South exit ramp. He thought maybe it was a mistake until he took another wrong turn, taking him in the exact opposite direction. That's when the 23-year-old demanded to get out at the edge of Lafayette Park on Missouri Avenue. His mom is talking because prosecutors charged her son with property damage and assault. She says they don't have all the facts, and they don't want them.
They didn't want to listen to me at all.
Abdi reportedly attacked him over the fare. St. Louis prosecutors are charging the passenger with what he says he did to defend himself. We found Mahad Abdi driving his cab all around St. Louis, despite being banned. It's this Royal Taxi cab that says supervisor. We caught up with him in South City. Are you in service?
Yeah.
Are you in service?
Excuse me, what do you need from me, man?
Can you show me your license?
What license?
Your cab license?
What license you need it from me?
Your cab license?
Why are you following me for?
Abdi said he's not working in St. Louis. Are you telling me that you haven't given a ride to anybody in St. Louis?
No, sir. You got a proof?
I do have proof.
Where is the proof? What is your
police
proof?
report?
What is your police report?
Police report.
I don't know what you're talking about. What is the police? If you got a police report, if you got a police report, let the police report come see. Police see me.
What about
you're not a police?
The guy in
I don't have
Soulard
enough time talking to you.
Up and then you accused him of being violent with you.
Who?
Not paying the guy in Soulard.
I pick up one guy from the downtown. I pick up one guy from. I don't have nothing to discuss with you. That's this one.
So you are picking up people from St. Louis.
Do you see anything I pick up?
You just
do you see somebody here?
You just told me you did. During a 13-minute adrenaline-fueled conversation, Abdi said the bottom line, he's okay because you can find him on Google. What's it going to take for you to
Where
stop
do you
driving
think?
illegally
No,
in St. Louis?
I don't give a f about the camera and all that man. Why are you following me now?
Because I have a concern about your company.
Man, get out
and
of here,
it seems
man.
like it's not real.
Get out of here, man.
Tell me about your business, where it's located, Royal
You know,
Taxi.
Go f yourself. Stupid ass. Next time, don't come up on me and ask me about anything. You hear me?
Mahad Abdi would not show us his cab license. That's because the St. Louis Metropolitan Taxi Cab Commission says he doesn't have one. I then checked with Belleville City Hall to see if Abdi obtained a taxi license there. A spokesperson said Belleville has no licensed taxis. It's in St. Louis where we saw Abdi driving, and Billings said taxi commissioners have been citing him for it.
He's not authorized to drive any taxi in St. Louis City or St. Louis County.
The Taxi Cab Commission tracked down and ticketed Abdi 3 times for being a Renegade cab. But when he goes to court, the violation gets pleaded down to excessive vehicle noise.
First at 6, a Renegade cab driver now faces hate crime charges after reportedly attacking a man for being white.
He is the same suspect that we exposed in the Fox Files after witnesses say he threatened to decapitate police officers. Fox File reporter Chris Hayes confronted him at the time, and he tells us about these latest charges. Chris?
Extremely rare charges because prosecutors say hate crimes can be very hard to prove. But in this case, according to the probable cause statement, the victim reports that Abdi attacked him Wednesday while stating he was only doing it because the victim was white. The Cab Commission revoked his license after Abdi reportedly threatened to chop the heads off police officers. Already facing assault charges for the threats, Mahad Abdi now faces 2 hate crime charges: property damage and assault motivated by discrimination. Court records say the victim did not know Abdi. He was sitting on the tailgate of his truck when Abdi put him in a headlock and said he wanted to kill the victim because he was white. Tonight, he's locked up on a $15,000 bond. But since he was driving that unauthorized cab and apparently picking up passengers even at a place behind me, police want to know if there could be more victims.
We now have new evidence in a Fox 2 story about a Renegade cab driver.
Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes reveals the 911 call audio that puts a twist on a story from a man claiming to be a victim.
The 911 call you are about to hear appears to put a new light on what happened between a cabbie and his passenger in October. That's Luke Hassler yelling outside of a cab driven by Mahad Abdi, who's calling 911.
He attacking me. He break my phone and everything.
Prosecutors charged Hassler in October for property damage and assault. According to the newest court records, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney dismissed the case in April, saying the defendant has successfully completed the misdemeanor redirect program. The record shows that consisted of $149 Hassler paid for Abdi's broken cell phone and $500 to an Illinois hospital for treating Abdi. Faison Syed with the Missouri chapter for the Council on American Islamic Relations said it's Abdi's passenger who was in the wrong.
The man was very severely intoxicated.
He said Abdi's history does not mean he cannot be a victim.
Some people, they make bad choices in life. And the reality is that those individuals should not be defined by their bad choices or their criminal history. Mr. Abdi is a man who made bad choices in the past, and he went to jail, he served his time, he paid his dues, and now he's trying to become a better member of society.
Syed said the 911 call would convince people Abdi was the victim that day, but he couldn't get a copy. Then Fox 2 pressed for it and helped Syed and Abdi obtain it.
The 911 call is probably the most important factor in this case. If it was true that the passenger was the victim, he would have called 911. But instead, Mr. Abdi called 911.
Abdi didn't want to talk about it anymore, but he came with Syed to this interview, along with another man who grew up in the same Ethiopian village.
He's a hard-working man right now, and you know, that's all we wanted, to get a chance in life. Not to destroy our reputation at this moment, but to better ourselves.
Abdurrahman Kasim said his friend feels vindicated by the 911 recording where you can hear what his passenger was like.
He didn't know where he was going, and Mr. Abdi from the beginning was flagged down, so he can help him to get home.
Hassler responded with this statement through his attorney. Mr. Hassler maintains that he was attacked by Mr. Abdi. Mr. Hassler did not plead guilty to anything. He did not take responsibility for the event. He did not pay court costs or receive probation. He offered to pay Mr. Abdi's medical and phone repair bill, and the case was dismissed. Syed says Abdi is no longer driving a cab illegally. He says he's confirmed Abdi is now working properly for a medical transportation company, usually delivering equipment.
And CAIR is turning to you so that you support its work to serve American Muslims.
Mr. Abdi went from being a violent, racist renegade cab driver to being a victim. If you want to see more of this kind of thing, be sure to donate to the miracle workers at the Council on American Islamic Relations.